Hello friends, today I wanted to share with you what I watched in the second half of 2020. Got a list on my phone. Yeah, so this started in July is when I made the other video. So I started by watching Schitt's Creek, which is hilarious and so wholesome, and I highly recommend it. I think I watched seasons 1 through 5. And then when season 6 came out on Netflix, I watched it and loved it. Next was Howard on Disney Plus. It's a documentary series on the life and work of Howard Ashman. He was a lyricist for a lot of songs in Disney movies, and it was just really cool to see like more of his background, more of his like I know who he is because of his work, but this was cool to see like other aspects of his life other than his work. Or other than his work in Disney movies specifically. And then I watched Lucifer season 5 part 1. We're still waiting on part 2. And yeah, I like Lucifer a lot. It's not like the best show ever. Not like Schitt's Creek or what I'm going to talk about in a minute. But it's good. It passes the time. It does keep me interested. I watched the Chadwick Boseman A Tribute for a King documentary special thing. This made me cry a lot. It came out after he passed away. Next was The Duchess, which is a Netflix show based on the comedy of Katherine Ryan. She writes and stars in the show. This one was alright. I think they were short episodes, and I want to say there was like 6 or 8 episodes. So it was pretty easy to get through. I do think you have to know Katherine Ryan's style of comedy a lot, and there were a lot of jokes in the show that were just basically straight from her stand-up, which it was alright. I think I would have preferred new material, but oh, then I watched High Score. It was on Netflix. It was a documentary on the like history of video game, and that was really cool. It had like all the way back to like arcade consoles, all the way up to like the like development of new like original Xboxes, PlayStations, and like how they've advanced. And I really thought it was cool. It had a lot of like the games and a lot of the systems. And like Nintendo versus Sega, and yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. Another one that made me cry was Challenger, The Final Flight. It's a documentary on the space shuttle Challenger that exploded. I'm intrigued by space. Like, I like watching launches and stuff, but I'm also terrified of space. So yeah, this was really interesting to watch. I'm still, like, they have a theory of what happened, but I'm still not 100% sold on that could have been the only thing wrong with this. Then I watched The Secret Society of Second-Born Royals on Disney Plus. This was cute. It wasn't anything, like, amazing. It was kind of like the equivalent of a Disney Channel original movie. Like, it was that level of production, and I think I would have liked this story of the like second-born royals being superheroes told in a more, it's probably like book lover in me, in a more like new adult fashion. I don't know. I feel like that would work better than what they did. One that made me super angry. So a guy at work was talking about it. He was like, I watched this new like true crime documentary thing on Netflix. I was like, well, what was it called? American Murder, The Family Next Door. And this was how do you say her name? Shanann Watts. Her husband killed her and their 2 daughters. Oh, he pissed me off so much during this. Like, yeah. Yeah. And then I needed to be happy, so I watched Enola Holmes. And I've actually watched this several times since then because it's super cute. I would highly recommend it. I didn't realize I watched two British things back to back. Then I watched The Crown season 4, and this was the introduction of Princess Diana season. That pissed me off real much. Prince Charles pisses me off in The Crown anyway, because, like, he's Prince Charles and people, like, terrible. I think the actors and actresses in The Crown are fantastic. I think they really portray characters. I think they really portray the people very well. And then I watched The Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom on Disney Plus. And this was a weekly episode released about different animals at Animal Kingdom and like the like cast members who work with them and that kind of thing. I did like that it did not only the animals, but it also talked about the cast members too. Then I watched Downton Abbey. I loved Downton Abbey. Yeah, it was so good. The show is set in the early 1900s. I think the first episode they find out about the Titanic and that the heir to their home was on the Titanic and has not survived. So they have to go looking for this other heir, and that ends up being Matthew Crawley, who was Dan Stevens, and no spoilers. But Lady Mary. I was definitely team Lady Edith, but honestly, Sybil was my favorite. Sybil and Branson were so good. I loved them together. Then I watched the Princess Switch 2 switched again on Netflix. This is the Vanessa Hudgens Christmas movie on Netflix. This movie is so chaotic. It's like even more chaotic than the first one. I thought the first one made a little bit more sense, but none of them even make sense at all. So then I watched Inside Pixar, which was just 5, I think they were like 10-minute episodes of people who work at Pixar and their different jobs and like how they came about to be in those jobs and like what they, yeah, I don't know. It was interesting. Oh, I watched the Great British Baking Off. Watched the Great British Bake Off. I loved the show. I was super happy with the winner of this season. He was adorable. I thought he had the best bakes, like consistently. So I was super happy with that. And then I watched the Downton Abbey movie. And I liked seeing the characters again. I just don't really know what the point of the movie was. Operation Christmas Drop was another Netflix Christmas movie. I did enjoy that one, except that the like military pilots or whatever, they looked like children to me. And I was just like, oh no, I'm old. I watched Godmothered on Disney Plus. This one was another alright one. It wasn't anything fantastic. I think it's one that would be geared more towards adults as a Disney fan. Then I watched Selena the series. And like at first I wasn't too sure. First I was really excited for it, and then I started watching it and I wasn't too sure about it. It did grow on me. There were things, I just don't know that they picked the right people to play these characters. And what's really weird is that I think this one is the one her family had a lot of say in. Like, her dad is what I mean by her family. And I just think it was really, I would be more interested to see her life told from her husband or her sister's point of view. Somebody who was a little bit closer to her than her dad. I watched this season of The Masked Singer. I did terrible at this one. The only one I knew was the crocodile. It's the only one I could tell. Watched what was it called? The Ripper. It's on Netflix, a documentary about a serial killer in the northern part of England in the, I think it was late 70s to early 80s. Terrible police work on this one, guys. Terrible. And then, like, he got pulled over for something else, I think it was. And, like, they realized that it was him. And they had interviewed him, like, it was upwards of 5 times they had interviewed this one man who was actually the murderer. And they had let him go. I'm like, okay. Terrible police work, guys. So on Christmas Eve, I was sitting in the living room. I forget why we put it on a movie channel. I think I was trying to figure out how to get HBO Max on my phone or whatever so I could stream the new Wonder Woman movie. But we had put it on HBO for something, and this, whatever the movie was going off, this documentary came on afterwards. And it was about the Bee Gees. It was called Bee Gees, How Can You Mend a Broken Heart? And we sat there and watched the whole thing. I know who they are because my parents listened to the Bee Gees. The Bee Gees were in the 70s, which is when my parents would have been my parents were teenagers, so I know who they are. I like some of their music. I've actually listened to their music on my own since then because it's been stuck in my head. But it was really cool to see. They were brothers who like caught their big break in disco music, and then it was kind of like the fall of disco music, and then trying to figure out where they fit into the music industry after that. And then it made me cry because they were brothers, and they had a younger brother who wasn't in the band. He was a solo artist, and the younger brother and 2 of the 3 have passed on since then. And that one man that was still there was like, I'd give it all back. I'd give all the fame back if they could be here with me now. And I was like, oh damn. I'm gonna cry. I am crying a little bit here thinking about that. Then I watched Seoul on Disney Plus. I thought this one was so good. And again, I do think I think the imagery and the story of it is more geared toward adults and what's your purpose in life and who chooses that, or how is that, how does that come about? I really enjoyed that. And then I watched Wonder Woman 1984. And I don't understand what the point of this movie was. I thought it was a bit chaotic. Like, there was 2 villains, and every time that man was on the screen, I was just like, you're really annoying. You're really annoying, and I hate you. And I know I'm supposed to hate you because you're the villain. But I think I would have preferred it better had Kristen Wiig's character just been the villain. Yeah, there was a lot of Wonder Woman 1984 that I felt like was a 2.5 hour long movie. And I was just like, we could have cut an hour of this out and had a much better movie. So that's what I've watched the last half of the year. Again, I will always take recommendations. I feel like we're going to be at the house quite a bit longer. So leave me some recommendations down below. Preferably like TV shows that I can like work my way through. Mini seasons would be nice. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.